G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now I'm about to show you a video which shows NACC Commissioner Brereton lining up a job for his mate Matthew Vesper, a barrister, with a NACC contract valued at $67,000. Now the video is NACC CEO Philip Reid and the General Manager of the Legal Branch, Rebecca O'Meara. And they're ducking and weaving at a Parliament inquiry last week, and Senator David Shoebridge is asking the questions. Now the video goes for 13 minutes. The first 5 minutes sets the background, starts off slowly. The last 8 minutes it starts to heat up, and especially the last 5 minutes, it's really hot. Where NACC CEO Philip Reid is very much on the back foot, ducking and weaving, and so is Rebecca O'Meara. She's ducking and weaving too. I'll be publishing an article tomorrow which will have a lot more information, be absolute dynamite. Anyhow, I'll show you the video now.
Resume proceedings and resume with the National Anti-Corruption Commission.
Mr. Reid, you agreed to a limited tender for the procurement of expertise required for the council assisting role to a barrister called Matthew Vesper in May of 2024. Do you remember that?
That's correct.
And in that limited tender, there was only one other contractor considered. Is that right?
Sorry, just let me get my notes in relation to that. Here we go. So, sorry, what was the question again?
There was only one other contractor considered as part of the limited tender.
There was a list of individuals that were drawn up that may be able to undertake the role, and some advice.
How many were in the
was
list?
provided by another integrity agency. I'm not sure what the number of individuals were for that. Let me just check.
And while you're checking that, Commissioner Brereton was consulted and provided names to that list. Is that right?
So it's a normal process, from my experience, from a former organisation, the New South Wales ICAC, that the Commissioner will have a say about who they would consider may be able to undertake this work.
Did Commissioner Brereton provide names to the list, or at least one name?
Yes.
And I'll be clear, did Commissioner...
So sorry? Yeah, Rebecca O'Meara is probably...
He provided the name of Matthew Vesper, is that right?
Senator, if it assists, I was involved in this process. This occurred very early in the Commission's life, and we were looking at potential counsel who had inquiry hearing experience, and so inquiries were made with other anti-corruption commissions in terms of people who had experience. Then in terms of the Commissioner was conducting the particular hearing, so he was consulted in terms of potential counsel, and he mentioned a number of people with that experience, but ultimately in terms of who was chosen for that particular engagement, it was myself who had a list that was put together that was then put to the case officer who was involved with that matter to then be approved by the CEO, because under our Act there's a requirement that the CEO engages external counsel, and the CEO is also advised that he wants to be the PGPA delegate for counsel engagement as well.
And the list you provided to the CEO had Mr Matthew Vesper and one other on it, is that right?
No, what happened was there was a number of people who were on that list, and then inquiries were made in terms of availability. The way it works for us is often there's not much lead time and it is difficult in terms of engaging counsel for that reason. So the next step is to make inquiries with counsel in terms of their availability. So what ultimately went up to the CEO was the one name with justification as to why that person held relevant experience to conduct the engagement. And I can also indicate that an important consideration for me at the time was the fact that this was the first time that we were going to be engaging external counsel for a hearing, and that was going to be conducted by the Commissioner. So it was important that I understood that they would, not only did the person have relevant experience, but that they would also work well together in that context.
Well, the reason, as I understand, given, and I'll quote to you, the reason that was given for having the limited tender with only one name on it was expertise required for the counsel assisting role. That was your advice to the CEO as to why there was a limited tender, because there was expertise required for the counsel assisting role. Is that right?
Senator, I can't recall if that was specifically covered in the minute recommending to the CEO
All right.
that person be engaged.
And the name Matthew Vesper came from Commissioner Brereton, didn't it?
That's correct.
Did Commissioner Brereton tell you that he had prior associations with Mr Vesper?
Yes, he indicated that he had, that Mr Vesper had inquiry experience.
Did he indicate that he'd publicly acknowledged Mr Vesper in his valedictory speech when he left the Supreme Court in May of 2023?
No.
Did he indicate a friendship with Mr Vesper?
No.
Did he indicate any prior associations with Mr Vesper to you?
Through inquiry work.
Through inquiry work. Mr Reid, were you aware that the Commissioner had publicly acknowledged Mr Vesper in his valedictory speech when he left the Supreme Court in May of 2023?
No.
Do you think that would be relevant?
Well, it depends, I suppose, on what was said in that valedictory speech.
You see, there are hundreds of barristers who have performed work as counsel assisting various integrity agencies and similar work around the country, aren't there, Mr Reid? There'd be hundreds.
Potentially.
Yep. And the National Anti-Corruption Commission, which is meant to have the highest possible threshold for integrity and process, decides to just pick one on a limited tender who just happens to be somebody who Commissioner Brereton had positively endorsed in his valedictory speech and had associations with before. That's what's happened, isn't it?
I think it's very important that in terms of the Commissioner's involvement, that was one counsel that he mentioned in addition to other counsel. He indicated that the choice would not be made by him, and it wasn't. It was made by myself in relation to a list of other counsel and then engagement with the case officer. So,
Ms Omar, a name that came from you from your boss, the Commissioner of the NACC, is going to have an incredible amount of weight, isn't it? Because it came from Commissioner Brereton, and it just happened to be somebody who he had these prior associations with. That's the truth of it. It's not a neutral recommendation. It comes with a huge amount of organisational clout when it comes from the Commissioner, doesn't it?
No, that's not the case at all. And the decision that I made was based upon the fact that this person had inquiry experience and also being concerned that for our very first hearing using external counsel, that we could be assured that the Commissioner would work well together with that particular counsel. And it wasn't just one name, it was other names that the Commissioner also put forward as well. To be honest, the Commissioner wasn't aware that we had chosen that counsel until after it had occurred. And my understanding was when that was communicated to the Commissioner that this is the council that would be used for the first hearing, he indicated surprise in relation to that decision. So
even though he'd given you the name, and this same Mr Vesper was lead counsel in the Afghan War Crimes Inquiry from 2016 to 2020, where he worked directly with Commissioner Brereton. It was a surprise, was it, when he gave you that name and you chose him?
Yes, he was surprised. He then wasn't advised that that was the person we were going with. He was told after the event, after the CEO had made the decision, and it was surprise that he indicated.
Mr Reid, there are dozens and dozens, probably hundreds of barristers who could effectively provide the role of a counsel assisting. And you were given one name who just happened to be the lead counsel in the Afghanistan War Crimes Inquiry.
What's the allegation you're making, that it's not possible to do a limited tender with one name?
It's not possible to do a limited tender with one name where you're not given all of the prior associations with Commissioner Brereton when he gave you the name forward. Were you aware that he was lead counsel in the Afghan War Crimes Inquiry from 2016 to 2020?
I was aware that he had inquiry experience, yes.
Were you aware he'd worked with Commissioner Brereton for 4 years?
And there's nothing wrong with
Were you aware that he'd worked with Commissioner Brereton for 4 years in that role?
I was aware that he had inquiry experience and there's nothing wrong with that.
No. My question, this name came from Commissioner Brereton. Did he tell you he'd worked with him for years when you chose him, Mr Reid?
I knew that he had had inquiry experience and it had been during that
It's
inquiry.
one thing to have general inquiry experience. It's another thing to have worked 4 years with the bloke whose name came forward who just happens to be your boss and he doesn't tell you. You don't understand the difference?
Look, I think that in relation to the appointment of barristers as counsel assisting, that there will inevitably be individuals that a commissioner or a deputy commissioner have worked with, and therefore there is, in my mind, nothing wrong with.
But they should tell you, Mr Reid, if they've worked with them consistently and they're putting their name forward and they have a prior association with you, they should tell you when you're going to limited tender. And again, Commissioner Brereton just didn't tell you.
He did.
You find out now when I'm in...
Sorry, Rebecca.
He did disclose that he'd worked with him in terms of an inquiry.
Did he disclose that he'd worked for 4 years in the Afghan War Crimes Inquiry and that he'd mentioned him in his valedictory speech?
But what's the issue?
The issue is if you're going to a limited tender and you're picking someone with whom you had a prior association, you should be transparent about it so that there's not the look of picking favourites with public money and, in this case, a $67,000 contract. That's the issue, Mr Reid. You can't see it?
I'm going to need to share the call. I'm just seeking indication for time from you.
Mr Reid, you were the decision maker?
That's correct.
What did you know?
Well, I knew that this was the name being recommended from the General Manager Legal. It had been through a limited tender procurement process that was involving staff from another part of the organisation looking at the Commonwealth rules. It was an engagement that was below 80,000 and that there were therefore exemptions in the Commonwealth procurement rules that apply, and that in this case it was the engagement of an expert or neutral person, including engaging counsel or barristers for any current or anticipated litigation or dispute.
Right. Did you know that he was lead counsel in the Afghanistan War Crimes Inquiry from 2016 to 2020, where he'd worked directly with Mr Brereton, who led the inquiry?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I was aware that he had worked in inquiries and in that particular inquiry. I don't see what the issue is that you're...
Thank you, Senator Shoebridge. I'm going to share the call now.
Now, like I said, I'll be publishing an article tomorrow, Thursday the 16th of October 2023, and I'll have a lot more information, some real dynamite in there, and I'll do a video on that article as well. And please do your bit and help shine a light on corruption and share this video on social media. And please hit the like and subscribe button and notification button. That way you get notified every time I publish a new video. And I'm an independent journalist. I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself. So it'd be greatly appreciated if you make a donation via PayPal or Patreon. The links are below this video on YouTube and also on my website, where you can go to my website and click on the donations page for other donation options. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.